Well, after weeks of refusing, the parents of missing 11-month-old baby Lisa Irwin are now agreeing to let police re-interview their two sons. These boys were in the home on the night they say their little girl went missing. The parents have given police several interviews of themselves, but their relationship with law enforcement soon started to go south. The police now say that you have stopped talking to them. Is that true?
No.
No.
Why are they saying that?
Because we won't let them interview our children, maybe.
Had they already interviewed the two boys?
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
And you've just said no more?
Yeah, no more. My kids would know nothing. That it's a waste of time and energy.
How many times have they talked to the boys?
It's a waste of heartbreak for them. I don't find any reason for them to continue to talk to my kids. They have been through enough.
Did they give you a reason?
No. We don't have anywhere else to go. Well, my kids aren't the answer.
They just said that they want to re-interview them because it's been some time, and maybe they might remember something. But they were sleeping, and it's been hard enough for them.
Well, the parents have now changed their minds, and for our next guest, this could be a critical step in the case. Joining me now, a former LAPD homicide detective who has worked a number of high-profile cases, Mark Furman. Mark, thanks so much for being back with us. So the parents, you heard them there saying, no, it would be a waste of time. We're not going to let it happen. And now the police continuing to say, we need it, we need it, we need it. The parents are allowing it. So what does that tell you?
Well, it tells me that somebody's getting some legal advice, and why create a situation that might be more problematic by not giving access. It's been over 2 weeks since the police have wanted to interview these two young boys, 6 and 8 years old, and they're certainly old enough to communicate effectively, and you'd be able to do it quite easily. But the reason is, just exactly why have they prevented this? What could it possibly harm? They believe this little baby is still alive, and these boys might have heard something or been able to maybe even see something.
They told me that their sons, in particular the younger one, was suffering anxiety in school, that he was getting knots in his throat, and that he didn't, they just didn't want to subject him to any more stress. The police told me, look, the time we interrogated him, or interviewed him, I should say, was through a child specialist. It wasn't a detective. It was in a controlled setting, somebody who understands children, and that's how it will be, we're told, this Friday when they sit down with the boys again. Why are they so critical?
Well, Megan, look, in your interview, which is really packed with little tidbits of information, inconsistencies and contradictions, she in your interview changes the timeline from last seeing the baby at 10:30 at night to 6:40 in the late afternoon, early evening. Now, in that same interview, she says that she blacked out after a certain point that evening, yet in your interview, she remembers bringing the 6 and the 8-year-old little boys to her room to go to bed with her. Now, you just can't have this in the same interview. You can't have it in the same moment in time, claim a blackout, change the time frame. So these little boys, in your interview, she said they were watching a movie while she was across the street drinking with the neighbor. So little boys don't have a wristwatch or a phone. They don't live in that world. But they do remember, did you finish watching the movie? Were you in your room when Deborah came in? Were you not in your room? Did you finish the movie and she take you to her bedroom? They need to know the path of the household that evening, and these are the only two witnesses other than Deborah Bradley, which hasn't been very cooperative.
And I know that now the mother claims that she went to bed that night and she was drunk. She had more than 5 glasses of wine but less than 10. She possibly blacked out. And then I asked her, did you check on little Lisa? What did you do before you went to bed? And you say one of the critical things they need to learn is, did she ask the boys to come into the bed with her? Because when her husband came home at 4 a.m. and discovered the baby missing, he said the younger boy, the 6-year-old, was in bed with Deborah. Well, how did he get there? What about the 8-year-old? You say police are going to want to know about that. Let me show the viewers what she told me on this score. When you went in at 10:30 after the neighbor left, what did you do?
Probably went right to my room.
Why do you say probably?
Because sometimes I check on her. Well, most of the time I check on her. And then the boys, the room is right next to each other, and I sneak in and make sure, the boys had been awake, and I had went in there and told them they could come sleep in my bed. And so I'm assuming that I went and checked on her too, but I don't know.
What does that tell you, Mark?
Well, Megyn, I want to know when exactly she realized she blacked out. I mean, this is the point when she's done drinking. She admitted in front of millions of people that she was drunk. She blacked out, yet she can remember going to the boys' room. And the interesting part about this, Megyn, is that she's going to go to a 6- and 8-year-old boy's room and ask them to come to her room, but she's not going to check on a 10-month-old baby that is a helpless infant that still needs her for food and care.
And she can remember that. She can remember going into the boys' rooms and asking them that, but she cannot remember whether she checked on the baby. I mean, that's possible, is it not? It is possible. You'd remember one, but not the other.
No. Well, the possible and probable are two different words, and let's look at the obvious. Everything that she wants us to believe is to an advantage of her in her defense of her actions that night, and everything that we want to declare as a possibility is something that would be something that she's distancing herself from. There's another thing, Megyn. The baby had on, by the mother's admission, purple shorts and a purple shirt. So if the baby is already asleep and gone to bed and she went to the boys' room and she's going to go to bed, wouldn't the baby be, prepared for bed, put into a sleeper, taken out of the clothes that she was in at 6:30 that evening when she left? It's
interesting you should raise that. So one of the things that I've been wondering myself is why wasn't the baby in sort of a normal onesie or nightie? And the mother said that wasn't unusual. That day it had been 87 degrees, but it went down to 50 that night. Mark, I got to run, but thank you so much, as always, for your insights on this.
Thanks, Megyn.